Welcome, everyone. Welcome to JW Friday Night News Wrap-Up. And with us tonight, we have Ruby Quinn from Florida. How's the weather down in Florida, Ruby?
64 degrees, so not that bad. But we were freezing the other night. It was like 40-something.
What's freezing to you?
Like 40-something, 50 degrees. Hey, everybody.
Yeah. We're in Canada here. Freezing is zero Celsius.
Yes, I know. I shouldn't say that.
If you go to the northern part of Canada, freezing is, I was up at Nunavut, a little place where the Eskimos, they used to call them Eskimos, and they're indigenous people, are northern Canadian indigenous people, Eskimos. Now I got a joke for you, Ruby.
Yeah.
We have Eskimos up in northern Canada. Where do they keep their money?
Where?
In a snowbank, of course.
Oh man,
yeah,
guys.
I know, that's a little bit lame.
Oh man. Okay, hello, everybody.
Hello to everyone out there. We have some exciting news tonight. Now, yes. I've got one story, and Ruby has about 49 stories. So I'm going to let her take away most of the show. She has some very exciting news. I'm going to actually go off screen for that, and she's going to bring on a special guest and cover that part in about 30 minutes. So you guys hang in there. Everyone that's online, hang in there. There's some really interesting news tonight, isn't there? Now, you have a few articles. Did you want to get right into some of your stuff?
Yes.
And,
so before
you wanted to introduce, your
yes. So before I dive into everything that I really want to talk about tonight, I'm going to give a quick introduction. I just got verified on Twitter so that I can stream our show and the XJW Political Corner on my page. So for everybody, or for anybody who's watching on X, I should say X, I keep saying Twitter. So if anybody's watching from X, just want to give a quick introduction of who I am. My name is Ruby Quinn. I have a YouTube channel because I am a former Jehovah's Witness. And like most ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, we get shunned if we don't follow the rules. And so because of that shunning, I said, what the heck? I'm sick and tired of this. And I just want to start a channel and talk about our experiences when we were Jehovah's Witnesses. So the majority of our audience are ex-Jehovah's Witnesses as well. Mm-hmm. So I am a fourth generation JW from my mother's side and a third generation from my father's side. So I really broke the cycle for my kids. They have never entered a kingdom hall in their life. And that's the goal, right? We want to start over. But it bothered me so much when I found out certain things that Watchtower was doing or either hiding or lying about, mostly CSA issues. That's when I couldn't stay quiet about it anymore. And that's why I started my channel. So later on, I'm going to bring on my little co-host, my cousin, and we're going to talk about one of those major issues that I have personally dealt with when it comes to the Jehovah's Witnesses, when it comes to CSA issues, like everything combined. So that's my quick introduction, and I'll give a quick hello to everybody. We see Michelle, Ivy, Olive, Jay, San Diego, Justin, Shauna, of course, his good wife. I was going to say our good wife. All right. I have Colty, Eric. All right. Hopefully I caught everybody. Just want to say hi to you guys. Hi, Beverly, WTH. Hey, guys. Okay, Vern, do you want to go first with your article?
This, what I have is the start of what's coming out in a week. We've all been waiting for the Norway trial. So JW.org, they've appealed it, the decision that Norway has made to say, hey, look, you as a religion, you guys don't meet the criteria in this country to be what we call a charity religion. Namely, because our child and welfare section, they don't agree with the shunning of children. You guys still shun children. So they've tried to change the name. They don't call it disfellowshipping. It's called removed. And they've made it so that you can kind of say hi at the meeting, but that's it. and they're trying to loosen up, but they're not loosening up the way it should be loosened up. And so Norway is just saying, no, we're not going to do it. And so we have an interesting, I was looking at Jan Frode Nielsen. Jan Frode Nielsen. He's from Norway. He's the one that's really been doing a lot of work here, spearheading this stuff. And he said a huge blow for the Watchtower in a preliminary ruling. They are not allowed to present their hired expert opinion as evidence or use their foreign hired experts as witnesses. And the Norwegian courts won't accept the confusion that Watchtower tries to make. So we have an English translation of this, and it's right here. I thought it was really interesting. I'm going to see if I can blow it up a bit so you guys can follow along. So this is the Court of Appeal, and it was issued December 10th. So it's brand new. It's like a month old. And let's see, the appellant is Jehovah's Witnesses. The counsel is the attorney Anders Christian Stray Risdale. Remember Risdale? They're guys. So the background of the case, Jehovah's Witnesses have filed a lawsuit against the state represented by the Ministry of Children and Families, claiming that the decision to deny state funding and registration as a religious community are invalid. And in the Oslo District Court's judgment on March 4th, 2024, the state was acquitted, and Jehovah's Witnesses have appealed the judgment. And the appellate hearing is scheduled for February 3rd to 14th, 2025. So, folks, that's in a week. So if we can get some support, send Jan Frode Nielsen email or something. These guys could use all the support they can get. Now, Jehovah's Witnesses wish to present Professor Jean Zetterman and Professor Zermatten.
Zermatten, yes.
Yeah, sorry, Jean. Zermatten and Professor Roberta Ruggiero as expert witnesses. And additionally, they have submitted all these exhibits and so forth, right? So the state here has opposed the testimony of Zermatten and their other professor as well as their submission and report of these other cases. The parties have exchanged several procedural documents on these issues, and basically they're saying it has nothing to do with this case. Zermatten has nothing to do with it. Here's who Zermatten is, by the way, folks. He's on Wikipedia. We actually ran a video of him not too long ago, and he's the chairman of the United Nations Committee on the Rights of Child, and he's the first Swiss member of this committee. So that's who he is. He's on the United Nations. So Jehovah's Witnesses felt they had a very secure expert witness. This guy's on the UN, but yet, I don't know about you, Ruby, but I left in 2012, and all the 30 years I was in there, you look up scarlet-colored wild beast in JW.org, and you look at all the beasts. Look at all the beasts, the harlots. It's just they just get into this beast thing. They commit so much bestiality you wouldn't believe it in this article. So now they're committing bestiality, in my opinion, because they're using the chairman of the United Nations, the beast, in their this is their jargon, right? You realize that I don't believe in any of this garbage, but this is what they pitched to us. We kind of believed in some of this crap years and years ago, but this is all the United Nations. It's an organization to declare, the International Year of Peace. It's all in these articles. But anyways, I'm not going to take up a lot of time on this. I want to go back to this article and kind of show
Vern, can I say one point about what you just mentioned about the United Nations?
Yeah.
So for those watching that don't really know about the Jehovah's Witnesses, even if you were not born and raised or like us, either converted or born and raised, the Jehovah's Witnesses have demonized governments, especially the United Nations. So I grew up thinking that the governments are controlled by Satan, that they are evil and that they are bad, especially the United Nations, because it was like Satan gathered all of his nations in one place. So for the Jehovah's Witnesses to be using a so-called professional or expert coming from the United Nations, for somebody like myself, like Vern just said, it's a huge red flag to us. Why would you be using somebody from the world, quote unquote world, especially the United Nations, when we grew up thinking that was like evil, like you said, the beast, a part of the beast. And so I just wanted to point that out.
Good. And I'm glad you did, because we were all taught that. And if Gene Zetterman and Zermatten is watching, sorry about that, Gene, I get your name wrong all the time. You're not getting used here. All this work, all the money that Jehovah's Witness put into Gene Zermatten for the lobbying that he's doing. And you know, another one that comes is Intervino Massimo Intervene. You heard of that guy?
I don't think I have.
He's the head of the vampire, or he's in the Vampire Association kind of a thing. And he's right on JW.org's website, Massimo. He's another lobbyist. He owns the Bitter Winter. Have you ever heard of Bitter Winter?
I have not.
We'll have to cover this. Do a little bit of research. And we'll cover this on a separate news. But that's another interesting character, is Massimo, right on JW.org's website. Okay. So they're using some very questionable people as what I call their higher authority clothes. A higher authority clothes. You know what that is? It's like when you use a higher authority to close the deal. You're a salesman, right? You're trying to sell a bill of goods, and you got the customer almost hooked, but they're not hooked. And you say, look, let's phone Gene Zermatten. He's on the United Nations Council. Let's get him involved. He will set the matter straight. He's like the United Nations. Come on, Gene Zermatten.
Right.
That's the higher authority clause, you see? And that's what JW.org is doing. I thought Jehovah was supposed to be their higher authority clause. Exactly. But you see, if you read the Bible, Romans 13:1, Jehovah has given the governments the job of watching all of this when it comes to good. When it comes to rules like that help people and things like that. They're up against Jehovah here, is what they're up against. And they're going to the beast for help. Yep. This is what blows me away. But I want to show what what Norway said, the conclusion of this whole report. The report of October 21st, 2024 is not permitted to be presented as evidence. So Gene Zermatten, I'm sorry. And it names them. It says number 2, Professor Gene Zermatten and Professor Roberto Ruggiero are not permitted to testify during the appeal hearing. Good. And the deadlines for the appealing is set 1 week. So it's they can't use their higher authority clause. That was good news.
Yes, very good news.
We can pin this to the news here, and there's a lot of stuff there. So
yeah, and you know what? As a Jehovah's Witness, since they're sola scriptura, isn't there a scripture that says that, don't be afraid when you go up to the governments, that the Holy Spirit would tell you what to say at that very moment? So why are they needing all of these experts or trying to pay people to talk for them if you should just let the Holy Spirit guide you when you're there in front of the governments?
But you know what the answer is to that, Ruby? What? They tell us the answer. Here it is.
And also, the governing body is neither inspired nor infallible. And so it can err in doctrinal matters or in organizational direction.
That's so true. I forgot about that. They are not inspired by the Holy Spirit anymore. I'm sorry.
And you see, when they came to court last time, remember they came to court and they brought in that window washer or welder, or we weren't sure what he was, from that other branch. He's running the branch. What's his name? I forget his name. I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
But basically, this is where they're at.
We don't have the answer to those questions. You hear that right? We don't have the answer to those questions.
They don't have the answers. They're changing. Beards, everything is changing. This religion is upside down. It is upside down.
Yeah, and you see, this is why I do this, because I was born with these people. I was born watching these men speak my whole life, to then say, as I'm an adult, that you don't have the Holy Spirit, that you don't have the answers anymore. Like, that does it gets me upset, because we were literally, like, I don't want to say worship, but like, we looked up to these men. Like, as a child, I look up to these men, that they were anointed, that they were gonna go to heaven, that these men could possibly walk us into paradise themselves. So we looked up to these men, and I am angry that I grew up like that. You know what I mean? Like, I hate it now that we grew up like that. So this is why I do what I do.
So they're making all these changes, the beards, and 6 months, a year ago, you'd be in a little room in the back. If you grew a beard, right, you'd be losing all your privileges. But then the governing body walks on the stage with a beard. And then they said, you know what? There's nothing in the Bible that says you can't wear a beard. But yet for almost 100 years, we've been going without beards. So what is this all about?
It's not even biblical anymore at this point.
No.
Now it's about the rules you guys made that we had to follow, especially as women, with modesty and our dress and grooming, and elders tapping me on the shoulder saying, that don't look good, or like, embarrassing you. Now it's a matter of just pure embarrassment, and you're gonna change it overnight just because. Who told you about the dress and grooming if you're not inspired by God anymore? So I don't believe nothing anymore, and it gets me, like, upset that people are still following the rules and acting as if, oh, this is a blessing from Jehovah, this is new light, we could wear pants now. Like, come on.
Now, the next change you're going to make is this, what WDH is saying, this 144,000, because it's full. The memorial, the numbers of people partaking, it's gone way up. There's a lot of people partaking now, like more and more people, and they should, if they're talking about Jesus and they want to be Jesus brothers, more and more JW should be partaking. More and more younger people should be, like, you just got baptized Orthodox, and when you go to that memorial, you're going to be partaking, I'm sure, right?
We partake every Sunday, communion every Sunday. Yes. And everybody partakes.
I think if the Holy Spirit's out there, I believe it's out there. You believe it's out there. Yeah. It's going to incite JWs to take, because they want to be Jesus brothers, right? They'll eventually leave the religion.
Naturally, you would want to be reunited with Jesus Christ in heaven. Naturally, if that's what you believe in. And they used to tell us, if you see brother so-and-so partaking, they probably have mental illness. So don't get a little too excited. Let them talk to the elders before they can actually get approved if they are anointed, like for real anointed.
Yeah.
And I used to find that.
That's a good point, WDH.
Yeah, I used to find that so weird, because there was a brother who partook in my congregation, and I told my mother, that stumbled me. You gotta use their words against them. I'm sorry, that's a stumbling block. That this brother who we've known forever, and he was considered, spiritually weak to us, very, shaky kind of guy, shady, and he's partaking. And that's when I was waking up little by little. I was like, no, this is not right.
Good for you. Well, Ruby, I'm gonna disappear here for a bit, and you got some news to do. We're gonna let you.
Yes.
I'm gonna stay on screen, but I'll be back in a second.
Okay, cool, guys.
You can
So
take the floor there.
because I did my homework for tonight. Because I don't know if you guys remember, 2 weeks ago when Scott Holman was on the show, I missed the news because I fell asleep for like 3 hours. Yeah, so all of these articles, I've been doing a lot of homework here. And so I forgot to talk about, and I know most of you guys already know this story, but if you don't, I'm going to bring it up and I'm going to show a clip. The actor, Luke Evans, he was in the movie Beauty and the Beast. He was in The Hobbit. He was in a lot of other movies. And we do know him, like we like him. We never knew that he grew up as a Jehovah's Witness. And I know you guys, some of you guys know this. So let me know in the chat if you knew about Luke Evans. He is actually an ex-JW. He was born and raised a JW in London. He got baptized when he was 13 years old, but he had a secret. And that was that he was attracted to his own sex. So he was gay. And so he kept that as a secret from his parents. And I know that this community relates so much to that. Well, that's exactly what Luke Evans went through. And when he was just 16 years old, he left home. And I mean, you're going to have to get his book, read his book. But I am so shocked that he started doing interviews about this memoir that he wrote, and he goes into details about his experience as a Jehovah's Witness and even as an ex-Jehovah's Witness, starting a whole new life, becoming an actor, like really interesting that I'm so glad that he wrote this book. You know what I'm saying? Like, now that we know there's another XJW celebrity, type, because we're going to get into other ones like Serena Williams, who are active Jehovah's Witnesses and really drop the ball when it comes to, I don't know, like, how do you say it? Like public persona, I guess, because she's a public figure. Like, I get it, but she does it the wrong way, in my opinion. Anyways, let's go back to Luke Evans. There's a clip here that I want to show you of him describing his upbringing as a JW. I'm only going to play like 4 minutes, 3-4 minutes.
I don't know.
But you grew up as a Jehovah's Witness. So what was that like as a little boy? Because, you weren't allowed to do these things, these passions that you wanted to do.
No, like, for example, Christmas, all the
what is a
build-up.
Jehovah's Witness first?
So Jehovah's Witness is like it's a form of Christianity. They don't believe that God, Christ, and the Holy Spirit are a Trinity. They believe they're all separate entities. God is Jehovah. That's his name. That's from their Bible as an old name of God. And then Christ was an angel that God sent to earth. And that's who we know as Jesus Christ, who was a human being, lived to 33 or 34, or whatever it was. And then the Holy Spirit is this powerful thing that God uses to do things on earth and all that stuff. They follow the Bible strictly. So there's rules that were given to the Israelites thousands of years ago that the Jehovah's Witnesses still stick to. For example, there's something that says you should abstain from blood.
Yeah,
and from that, they mean they would die rather than take a blood transfusion. And there has been many, many cases where Jehovah's Witnesses have died in the operating room because they will not take blood. And then there's things like, well, they don't smoke. See, I said we then. I said we, and I'm 45 and I left 29 years ago. That's mad that I said we. Bizarre. They don't smoke. They can drink, but they don't drink too much. They don't celebrate Christmas, birthdays, Easter. So, and then they knock people's doors, and that's like a moral obligation. So
I remember that when I was a kid.
Do you remember? I mean, they
People
knocked
knocking on the
everybody's
door.
doors, and you'd come around every couple of months, you'd get another chance.
Yeah.
And it was usually on a Saturday morning when most people would not want to be standing on the door of their house when the toast is burning and the cup of tea is getting cold, and the kids are watching He-Man and going live, I remember it very vividly. I did really, 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 really didn't like knocking doors, but we had to go. It was what everybody did. It's a very strict religion, and you cannot sit on the fence. You're either in it and stick to the rules, or you're out.
I'm losing weight and feeling confident thanks to her.
I was in tears reading about that book, the Bible book, picture book that you had.
My book of Bible stories.
My book of Bible stories. When you're a little boy, looking at these pictures of people getting burnt to death, Armageddon, called the Detestables if you were gay. And for a little boy who's, confused, being, doesn't know, what he's feeling at the moment. It's almost like a Disney story, where there's like parts in it for adults that the kids aren't supposed to understand.
Yeah.
But, being conditioned, how do you undo those years of conditioning and trauma to see them? Like, because, although like you could go, this isn't true. Is there still a little voice in the back of your head going, well, what if it is? What if I do, when I die, I get burnt alive?
Do you think, I feel that now?
Yeah.
Oh, hell no. No, I don't believe any of it. But imagine being like a 7, 8, 9-year-old, 10-year-old.
No, I can't.
Literally, when I realized who the people were dying in the background, and knowing that I was feeling different, and I didn't feel the same as the other kids, the other boys, I just went quiet. And I just kept this secret, these feelings, this confusion, this complexity to myself. And I just didn't tell anyone. That could have gone really.
Okay, so I wanted to play those few minutes. If you want to watch the rest of that interview, I'll put it in the description when we're done with the live. But that clip right there of him explaining everything is just so accurate. The first thing that I noticed, and he noticed it as well, he corrected himself. He keeps saying we believe, we this, we that. And I tell my cousin King Tony all the time, when she says the truth, it's like, even years after leaving, we are still conditioned with the language, the terminology, and even including ourselves. And that was the one thing that I caught from that. And I'm glad he caught himself and said it to her right there and then. Like, you see, I left 20 something years ago and I still say we. So that kind of gave me, like, you know how we talk about when people say, oh, just get over it. Why are you still talking about it? You know, like, get on with your life. It's like, no, I don't think that's never going to happen. We can heal from it, but I don't think we're never going to stop talking about it. It's just a part of us. It's just who I am, almost, in a way, because that's just how I grew up. You know, like, that's how our brains were wired. And it's really hard to change. But I think this is a lifelong journey of healing and moving on. And I don't think we should just get over it when it comes to certain things like this, but we should continue to talk about it.
Mm-hmm. Now, I was going to ask you, I was off the screen for a bit here. Now, in the comments, someone thought Luke Evans was related to Lloyd Evans, and he's not. There's no relation.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Now, Luke Evans is a movie star, and he did play in what, Star Wars? The later Star Wars, the newer one?
I don't know, because I haven't seen it, but somebody said Dracula. I know he was in Beauty and the Beast and The Hobbit, because those are my favorites, and that's how that's how I know him from.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I love him. I didn't know anything about him.
So now, when did he come out? When did he come out to the public and say, "Hey, I was a JW"? Is this just within the last year?
I think so. When he wrote this book, it broke the internet, especially for us in the community, because now we never knew this about him. And since he wrote that book, he came out that he grew up as a Jehovah's Witness. And I'm so glad that he did. He describes it perfectly. You see how he said, when he described, like, my books of Bible stories, and she said, like, even she was crying, and she's an outsider. So imagine all of the, like, people, like, we became, like, desensitized to the fact that Jehovah's Witnesses teach that if you are not a part of them, then you are going to die in Armageddon. That's your fate. It doesn't matter if you don't. Okay, wait, sorry, because we have new light, and now people can change at the last minute and claim that Jehovah's God and Jesus is his son, and they'll be saved at the last minute. But no, when I was growing up, if you didn't get baptized before Armageddon, you were going to die. And that's why we went door to door as much as we did, because we were trying to save people's lives. And we actually felt that. Me and my cousin talk about it all the time. We actually felt the responsibility of people's lives, that their salvation was in our hands. And it was our duty to go door to door and try to share the truth with them so that they can get baptized before the end of the world.
Now, I was going to say, wouldn't that be cool? Like, Luke Evans might not know that our little community exists, right? Wouldn't that be cool if you sent him an email?
Somebody should.
Well, we could send him an email. Let's both of us send him an email. You send him one. I'll send him one.
Yeah, imagine.
We can send him an email and invite him onto our show live on the entertainment section. Wouldn't that be cool if he said yes? You just never know, right? So
yeah, that would be awesome. So I just wanted to let everybody know that I forgot to cover this, because this is kind of like old news, but like new to us. So yeah, Luke Evans is one of us. He's an ex-JW, and he's dealt with a lot of things that we dealt with, and he wrote a book about it. So if you want to check out his book, definitely do that, and check out that interview, because I only played a few minutes. But imagine the rest of it. You know what I mean? Like, he's going to dive into it. So I'm going to put that link in the description.
And, anybody out in the comments today out watching, they could send him an email Tony's Kitchen could send him an email.
Yeah, like show him some support.
I think he would
from the community.
really like our community. Anyways, that's just what I think. Go ahead. I'm going to let you cover some more news.
Okay, so hold up a second. Everybody in the comments. And Vern, I don't know if you heard about this, but did you hear that they changed the color of Sanderson's tie from the broadcasting that he did about Norway? I don't know if you guys knew that. Let me know in the chat. Because if anybody remembers the broadcasting that he did about Norway, and it broke the internet, that everybody was making a video that his tie was the same colors of the Norwegian flag. Do you remember that? They changed the color of his tie on a publication. Did you know that, Vern? I'm sorry, you have to answer me. You didn't know that? Okay. You have to see this. You have to see this. Let me show you. And I was so shocked that I double checked this. I went to JW. I went to the demonic website, jw.org, and I checked it. Somebody wrote on Reddit, am I losing my mind? Just a thought before the weekend, when Mark Sanderson made his announcement about the new disfellowshipping rules back in March 2024, wasn't he wearing a blue and red tie, which looks strangely like the Norwegian flag? So why is it that in the new Life and Ministry Meeting Workbook, June 2025, his tie suddenly turned green and blue? So this is what you're looking at, the original broadcasting. This was the original. We all remember this. Now look at the tie in this picture. I can't believe they changed the color. So I have confirmed, and I looked it up. I took a screenshot on my tablet just to make sure that I wasn't going crazy either. And I cannot believe, and I can't zoom this in anymore. Oh, there we go. Got it. Look at that, guys. Are we crazy or are we crazy? No, we're not crazy. I can't believe that they edited the colors of the ties on a publication. Why would they do that? And I just spoke to my cousin earlier. I said, what would be the motivation to change the color? What does it matter? It's just colors, right? Blue and red, like nice tie. So this is the only thing that I can come up with. And I know that probably you guys are thinking the same thing, but that they are watching our forums. They are watching our YouTube videos. They are watching our comments. They are keeping tabs on what apostates are saying on the internet about their content. And it bothers them so much that they find it necessary to change the color for Jehovah's Witnesses.
See, we called them out on that red tie last year.
We did.
And now they went JW blue. Or did they actually Photoshop this picture and it was red?
They just edited the entire look. See, this is the original.
Oh, and they're watching the original. So this is recent, and they got rid of the Norwegian colors out of the tie because they've been called out on it.
Exactly. Wow, because the publication, you see, that was 2024, right? Now the publication is 2025. So this is the most recent publication. They changed the colors
of his tie.
Yes, I can't believe it.
Broadcast.
Yes.
Wow.
Why would they do that? It makes me feel. Go ahead. Go ahead, Vern. Oh no, did Vern glitch? Oh no, I think Vern glitched. Okay, so we'll wait a few seconds. Oh, okay, go ahead. You glitched. Go ahead.
But you remember the pictures of the governing body and the little demon heads under the table?
Yeah.
They know about that. They know about those details. They've been called out. They know that they have demons.
Without a doubt, I believe that. Now, when I saw this, I said, they know it all. This is all on
These guys are orchestrating to the detail. And they're telling people, the demons had to go to Christ and say, look, I'm going to deceive you here, the Brad, jump off the cliff for all these, the 3 tests, right? The demons have to tell the governing body's coming right up to the public, to their own audience, and they're saying, look, we're not even inspired.
Right.
We don't have any answers. We make mistakes all the time.
Yeah.
But Jehovah's kind of leading us. Norway's leading you, you dumbasses. It's not Jehovah.
Wait a second.
Anyway.
So that was my first thought, that they're watching our stuff. They are listening to what we're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is what gets me. They know that Jehovah's Witnesses don't watch her stuff. So why do they feel the need to change the color for their own publications? Obviously, only Jehovah's Witnesses would be looking at the publications. Mm-hmm. So why feel the need to change the color? Now, this is where my mind blew up. I think that this is a small little Easter nugget for them to catch Jehovah's Witnesses who do watch our stuff, and they might mention it to the elders, and that's how they're going to find the rat in the kingdom hole who is watching apostate videos. So when you catch something like this, they are going to know for certain that you've been watching apostate videos, because that's what we talked about when we saw that broadcasting was about the tie. So I just want to say, if you're a Jehovah's Witness watching, be careful, because I think once they get wind that you notice the color change of the tie, it's because you saw this episode right here. Yeah. And you might get outed as, I don't know if they're going to mark you, or they're going to make up a story that you're bad association because you noticed the color of the tie change, and they might question, how do you know that they changed the color? And then you don't have an answer because you don't want to say that you was watching apostate videos. I don't know.
Did someone change the hair color?
Yeah, that's just so sneaky, right? If they're gonna lie about the colors of the tie, what else are they lying about? Something so little and something so unimportant. Why would they do that? It bothers me. I don't know. It really bothers me. I'm just looking at the comments. Okay, so that was the next thing that I wanted to say. Now, what? Let me see. Okay, so we did the Norway thing. So, did you know about this? Vern, Canada, the bid to remove charitable status, since you're in Canada.
In Canada? Where did you get that?
Right here. I'm going to show it to you.
Wow. Florida is bringing Canada news to the Canadian.
So this was posted on January 3rd, 2025. Bid to remove charitable status from religious groups draws ear of evangelicals in Canada.
So I'm not gonna send them or we have a petition for this in Canada.
Okay.
Anyways, go ahead. I want to see what you're saying.
I'm gonna give everybody the article if they want to read it themselves. I'm just gonna read the first paragraph, and then I'm gonna scroll down to an important quote. But the first paragraph reads: the Evangelical Fellowship of Canada has raised concerns about recommendations presented to the Canadian government calling for the removal of charitable status to religious charities and anti-abortion organizations. So, I mean, that for me is a huge bracket of religious and organizations that support that. I'm going to scroll down to this quote. The EFC, they quoted something here. Okay, right here. This change, they say, if adopted, would have a far-reaching and devastating impact on religious charities, the people they serve, and the Canadian society. Just over 40% of Canada's registered charities advance religion. This proposal would destabilize the charitable sector in Canada. Now, I wanted to read that because that's one of our goals, is to remove the charitable status of cults, not religions, in my opinion. Cults, not religion, in America. Now, if Canada goes through with this, I mean, that's Canada. You know what I'm saying? I just wanted to share that information with you guys. But I don't see a problem with it. If Canada does it, I agree.
Yeah. You're going to pin that, right, on the news tonight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to email those guys here from Canada and talk about our community that's working with them on, and we actually have a petition here in Canada. I usually have that in all of my videos right at the bottom. If you would link in your Canadian, you can sign it. And we do have around 1,500. You need about 1,000 to get some audience, but we are, that is available. So for anybody out there.
Yeah. Yeah, that was interesting. I mean, if it goes through, I'd still think that's a win. And just for the record, like in my opinion, I don't care what country it is. If you are a religious organization, like a real religion, not a cult, you should be able to fund yourself. You know, like each parish or each church should take care of their own expenses. Like that just makes sense to me. And before Watchtower made those changes, the Kingdom Halls of Jehovah's Witnesses were separate, like family owned, like locally owned Kingdom Halls before they became like a corporation, you know, that they started buying all the Kingdom Halls. So that's not something new. You know what I'm saying? Like I still agree with just self-funding your own parish, your own church, members of your church, and your church does charity. You know what I'm saying? Like you should do that for your community. You don't need to always be looking to the government for anything. But that's because I'm anti-government. So that's just my opinion. Okay. The next story is going to be about Serena Williams. I don't know if it's just me, but I don't like her. And it's not, I don't think it's anything personal, or like it's not because she's a Jehovah's Witness. Like I just don't care. I don't like celebrities in general, and I don't like, especially when these types of people are promoting or projecting their religious views. Like, you know how they used to say, like, you know, just do what you're here to do, not, you know, don't try to politicize something or try to make something religious. I agree with that. Like if you're an athlete, just play the game. Stop talking about what God you believe in, or, you know, what politics or who to vote for. You know what I'm saying? Like that should be separate. But, you know, Serena Williams already has said that she is a Jehovah's Witness. You know what I'm saying? Like they speak about it, and that's okay. But at the same time, when you are in a cult that goes against everything that you stand for, allegedly, because she always wants to say that she stands up for women and she stands up for, you know, equal opportunity or whatever the heck she says, it does not go along with her religion, her cult, okay? Her quote unquote religious beliefs, in our opinion, right? Because Watchtower would not say the same things that Serena is saying on the stage, but they take it. I think they take it because she's rich and famous. Okay, they can't silence her like they do to us. Now, I saw this on X, and I'm gonna show this article right here. She was featured at this thing called Deal Book Summit. I don't know much about it, but I know she's in it. And whenever I see her name, I click on it because I'm like, what is she doing now? What is she going to do now? But that's a good thing because she makes us talk about it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a good thing that she keeps doing this stuff. Now, this is a really short article. It only says this right here. The conversation starts here. And then you see right here, from Serena Williams' celebration of the competitive spirit. And I guess that's what she's going to talk about. Now, let me know in the comments, what is a competitive spirit? Where does the competitive spirit come from? I was born and raised in this cult, and I was taught that competitiveness, competitive spirit, comes from the devil. It comes from Satan. Satan wants to create these feelings of competition and jealousy and envy and selfishness. And, you know, being competitive is just the beginning, because you're going to start rolling into the slippery slope of, you know, straight up Satan. You're going to become just like Satan once you start thinking that you can compete and that you can be the best and you want to be rich and you want to be famous. All of that comes from Satan. So I don't know. I didn't dig like deeper to see what she said or if she had an interview or like what she said about the competitive spirit. But all I know is that it comes from Satan. And I don't know why that she is talking about competitive spirit. Culty says Satan. LOL. Thank you, Culty. And Steen says world. Yes, it comes from the world. Yeah, it's worldly. Oh, Vern came with the receipts about sports. Exactly. They demonize us playing in sports, participating in sports. When we were in school, we couldn't participate in the slightest game or anything that would create a competitive spirit. It could be something as simple as playing Uno cards. If it got too loud, they would shut it down because you're getting too competitive. So we didn't really play that many games when we
It's
were
almost
little.
like they changed their rules, because what you are saying is the way it was when I was in it.
Right.
But here, this is brand new stuff. What do your peers say? Well, this is what the peers are saying. Playing sports contributes to your happiness. I
Yeah.
love sports. So that's what their peers say. So what are they saying? That's wrong to think like the peers?
To think like their peers?
Like the peers would be the people that are in the Olympics and stuff, right?
Right.
And playing sports contributes to your happiness. I'm not sure what they're
Right.
pitching there. It says to think about, do you listen when your parents offer advice about your priorities? You see, when my siblings and I used to watch sports and neglect important duties like studying our Watchtower, my mom would remind us that the players were getting paid whether we watched them or not. But who's paying you? So she'd ask us, this article puts a slant on sports. It's like, this is what they're saying. It's like putting too much salt on your food. So they don't want to come out and demonize it, but they're saying it's not good. It's like not good for you. Too much salt on your food, it's not good for you. And that's how they're demonizing it.
Exactly. And like King Tony said right here, did they not teach to not bring undue attention to yourself? Exactly. That's why we wouldn't become famous or rich, or we wouldn't become talent. Even if we did have a talent, we wouldn't work on it because it would bring undue attention to ourselves. And even if you were successful and you became a Jehovah's Witness later, it was kind of like an unofficial rule to keep it quiet. Like, don't talk about it, don't bring it up, and everybody has to treat you as a normal human, even if you were famous. So I never got that. You know what I'm saying? Like, they always taught us about vanity and modesty and all of that, and to give all glory and praise to Jehovah. So what is Serena Williams doing? And why does she keep using her platform to engage in these worldly activities? She engaged in the Olympics. She's engaging in this conversation about competitive spirit. Let's see if she's going to say that the competitive spirit comes from Satan. You think she's going to say that? I don't think so.
Okay, I was just looking on JW.org. I punched in fame. What do they say? Something better than fame. Well, of course, it's pioneering, right? All these guys that were famous quit doing what they're doing and they became pioneers or something.
Right.
This guy, our pursuit of fame in the boxing ring. Well,
oh, I think Vern just glitched again, so we'll wait for a second.
So maybe Serena Williams wants to get her picture on an Awake magazine. I don't know.
And it should be a picture of her in an Awake magazine giving up her fame, giving up her titles, giving up her money or material things. That's what it should be about. I don't see Serena Williams doing that.
No.
So I don't know what's going on. But like I said before about her, I think the only reason why she got baptized was because of her family. And that's what this organization does. They They blackmail us emotionally with our family and our parents, or like association with our families. And if we want to keep that association with our families, we have to play the game. If you are not willing to play the game, then the price of freedom is even more expensive. And that's just the L that all of us had to take. If you are an ex-JW, you know what I'm talking about. That type of freedom was so expensive that it cost some of us our lives. A lot of people committed suicide because they couldn't live up to the expectations. They couldn't be fake anymore. They couldn't play the game. So I don't know what Serena is doing, but I'm going to move on because the next story is even crazier. And you know, I talk about, CSA and murders on my channel because I do a little bit of like news stuff on my videos, and I haven't done videos in a long time, but I'm going to get back to it. I cannot believe that there was another murder among Jehovah's Witnesses. I cannot confirm if they were current JWs or ex-JWs, but this man, he murdered his girlfriend. And I'll read the article, but it's really sad. It says the Morfit Vale man to spend 2 decades behind bars for murdering mother of 5. Victoria Stewart. Very sad. So in short, this man, Clifford, 40, will spend more than 20 years in jail after planning and carrying out the murder of Victoria Stewart in 2023. The pair first met about 15 years ago as members of the same Jehovah's Witness congregation before reconnecting through social media last August. And so the article, I won't read the entire thing, but I will link it for you in the description. But I'll show you her picture here. Okay, so this is her here. And this is just really sad. I mean, I remember the last murder we covered, or I covered. I don't know if you remember it, but I think it was in the UK that he was working on somebody's house and he murdered her, and they were all Jehovah's Witnesses. So I can't confirm if he or the victim were current Jehovah's Witnesses. But I feel sad when this happens, especially when they say it in the article, like, oh, they met at the Kingdom Hall. Maybe they were Jehovah's Witnesses. I don't know. But I feel like this happens way too much. Or is it just me? I don't know, chat. Let me know. Is it just me that I'm still waking up to the fact that bad things happen within the Jehovah's Witnesses? Because I know I talk about it a lot. And I do agree, yeah, bad things happen in any organization, in any religion. But I don't know, for some reason, it still bothers me that the childhood belief system that I had, thinking that nothing bad can happen in the Kingdom Hall, or that, Jehovah's Holy Spirit would protect us. Like how they used to always make us feel that the angels were coming with us door to door, that we would be safe. I still felt like that for a really long time, that I had Jehovah's Holy Spirit, that I was safe. As long as I was doing Jehovah's will, I was fine. And then I read something like that, like, oh, it hits me, like they don't have Jehovah's Holy Spirit. Like, we have to get that out of our heads. They don't have Jehovah's blessing. I don't even know who Jehovah is anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got to get rid of that.
I think it's important that we drill into the audience that just like Satan showed himself, so do they.
And also, the governing body is neither inspired nor infallible. And so it can err in doctrinal matters or in organizational direction.
Imagine all of the direction, they said no organ transplants, no organ transplants. Then they said you could take organ transplants. How many people died?
Yep.
And then they said no blood, period. Then all of a sudden you could take these platelets, right? And you could take certain things, but then they had to create a whole liaison committee and train them in what people take. And then they had to go in and monitor people at their bedside to make sure that they were conform. Well, that's what it is today. They have a police. They built their own internal police. They call it HLC. Right. And they police the blood, and they want to police people dying. They want people to die. They don't want them to take a medical treatment if it includes blood to save their life. So they police it. And if they do, then they come back, they have a meeting with them, and they well, the person's disassociated. If the person says, well, I really don't believe in your blood policy, well, you've disassociated yourself. You're the same now as a disfellowship person. And that's against human rights. They want to talk to Jean Zermatten. Let's start pulling some of these things out in the human rights court. And let's start talking about the shunning in the human rights court. And I think these are the things that really, and it's happening. Folks, this is happening. There's other news out there, other countries challenging them right now. But I'm not going to trample over your news. You got a lot of news.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because for anybody watching on X that doesn't know about what Vern just said, so the Jehovah's Witnesses created the Hospital Liaison Committee. It is a group of elders that are commissioned to go to the hospital when a Jehovah's Witness is admitted to the hospital. Doesn't really matter what for. They are there for whatever, to pray for you. Some people might consider like confessions, but like that's who you would do it with, is those elders. They can contact your elders. So it's a network of elders that would go to your hospital room for whatever you need. But that's the shady part, is when you have a major surgery, they're going to pop up whether you like it or not, whether you request it or not, because on your records in the hospital, when it says religion, Jehovah's Witness, it's like it pings them. They're going to come to your room, whether you like it or not. They're going to make sure that your doctor understands that you do not take blood transfusions. And they're also going to grill it into you. You could be half dead. You could be sick. It doesn't matter what. They are there to like protect your rights or to speak on your behalf. And this is why when they give you the no blood card, as Jehovah's Witnesses, we carry with a card. This is why they say it's so important to keep that card up to date so that they can enforce it. Now I understand. It's like when I was little, I didn't get it, but now I do. And so that's why, if you are no longer one of Jehovah's Witnesses, the very first thing you should do is burn that card, go to the hospital data entry person and remove the religion as Jehovah's Witnesses, because they will try, whoever is listed as your emergency contact, they will try to force the no blood policy. Yeah. That is my advice to everyone.
Good advice.
So yeah. Yes. And you know what? That's a great segue to my next article, because this woman posted on Reddit her story about taking blood. Okay. So some Jehovah's Witnesses will take blood against the rules, against the council of the elders, and even against the hospital liaison committee, and they will still take blood, and the elders will be notified. I don't know how that happens, whether or not they confess it, but for some reason they find out, and they will have how.
The hospital liaison committee, most JWs don't realize it, but in that card, you could be signing, I believe you're signing your power of attorney over, or you're allowing them to see your records. It gives them permission to see your medical records. So they just go in. Yeah, a lot of JWs are signing, giving this over. And no one thinks twice about it. They think those guys are there to pray for them, to help them. We need someone on our side looking at our records. You know, the JW org has made the healthcare institutions their enemies. People's enemies are the doctors. If they're not a JW doctor, if they're not a bloodless hospital, it's the enemy. You know, and here JW org's against higher education. Well, guess what, JW org? To be a doctor, it takes 7 years of higher education. So why don't you get on with the program and start educating your people, making doctors, and taking your trillions of dollars and building frickin' hospitals, JW org, and do something to help people. But what you're doing, JW org, is ludicrous. And this whole no blood thing, you got to say, you know why they can't build hospitals? Because hospitals are there to save people's lives. Right. And JW org is going to allow people to die if it involves blood. They can't be a real hospital. And they got this blood thing wrong. There's so many scriptures that says it's a matter of conscience in eating strangled meat. So many. The whole Bible's full of it. In the New Testament, you can eat strangled meat, and it's a matter of conscience. When you go to someone's house, whatever they're serving, you eat it. It's a matter of conscience. And it's about blood. That's all about blood. In JW Org, it's not a matter of conscience. You must die. You see, the whole ruling in Acts 24 and 15 is not about dying. It says good health. If you abstain from fornication, abstain from adultery, abstain from blood, abstain from strangled meat, you'll have good health. That's what it says. Look it up. So it doesn't say you must die, because lots of JWs commit fornication. They get disfellowshipped and they get reinstated and they're back in, and some become elders. They do. I became a ministerial servant. I was disfellowshipped 6 months in.
Yeah.
And then I got reinstated, became a ministerial servant eventually, and I became a regular pioneer. So I broke that scripture. I broke that scripture. I committed fornication. So I could have committed a transfusion, the same thing. I should have, if I did that, I would have been, maybe you sinned and okay, well, be good for 6 months and you get your privileges back. It's not like that. If you knowingly and wantingly say, hey, I'm going to keep living because Jesus needs me preaching, or Jehovah needs me preaching, however you pitch this, I got to keep living. So I took the medical treatment that kept me alive. And as soon as you do that, you are disassociated.
Right. That's what happens in reality.
It's treated different than fornication, but it's the same scripture. It talks about fornication, strangled meat, and blood. Keep doing it and you'll get good health. It doesn't say if you break that rule, you should be put to death. There's nothing in there. In fact, Jesus broke rules every day in the Sabbath just to piss the Pharisees off. That's what I think.
And to make his point, that is not about those legalistic type of rules.
No.
It's not about it anymore. And he changed that. And now we understand that. Now I understand that. I used to take everything so seriously, like so rigid, so strict. And I had to learn, how to change that. But that's what happens in reality, exactly what Vern just said. And they always want to make it seem like, oh, we don't tell Jehovah's Witnesses what to do. And they always want to use that excuse because they don't deliberately, directly say these things. These are almost like unofficial rules that is known within the community. So I wanted to read this story, a very sad story that this person wrote on Reddit. The title is Abandoned Because I Chose to Stay Alive. Blood Issues. Sitting alone in a hospital bed with a blood transfusion packed next to me, I regret the path my life took, but the time is gone now. My parents migrated from the US to Botswana before I was born. I was raised to a perfect JW woman, baptized at 13, elder father, former circuit overseer, and a mother who pioneered until she couldn't walk or speak. At 57, I have spent 44 years of my life in the organization and 40 years as a full-time pioneer. The truth was drilled in me from the day I was born, and it was the only life I knew. At 20, I married a 32-year-old pioneer elder who was my father's protege. We never had kids, and we were pioneers in 5 different countries in Southern Africa. We worked as translators, and he was a circuit overseer for 5 years and SA at one point. We had some rough times, but I have good memories of the people and the places. I never thought the organization would ever abandon us or me. I believed all the sacrifices we took would be rewarded with a place in paradise. Now I know I was stupid. I lived in a JW bubble that was carefully built by the org, my parents, my husband, and myself. So how did I find myself in hospital all alone with all contact cut off by my relatives and brothers and sisters? A year ago, my husband died after battling with bone marrow failure linked to prostate cancer. His blood levels plummeted in the last 2 months of his life. I didn't want him to die. I started researching about alternative no blood treatments. Then started questioning the no blood policy. Then started questioning JW doctrines. Then I became mentally detached from the organization I had spent my all life serving. I remember hospital liaison committee brothers visiting and pressuring me to sign documents declaring that I didn't want blood transfusions for him. The alternative treatments never worked, and he deteriorated until he died. The doctors were heartbroken, but powerless. With no savings and no financial support from the branch, I became dependent on the congregation and their donations. A brother found an apartment for me and offered to pay the rent, and my nephew, an elder at 28, arranged to send an allowance to cater for my other needs. My health took a dive after my husband died, and 4 weeks ago I collapsed while at the Kingdom Hall because of anemia. Didn't want to die for some reason. I accepted a blood transfusion. The elders visited me and determined that I was unrepentant. They announced my disassociation. Since then, it's been a roller coaster. Nephew called me a week ago explaining that he can't help me anymore, and him and his family won't be visiting anymore. His mother, my older sister, and my best friend passed away 6 years ago. Good Samaritan brother says his conscience doesn't allow him to keep supporting me with rent. And she was admitted into the hospital again yesterday, but will be discharged tomorrow. Now staring at the prospect of finding work at 57, but I'm physically and emotionally drained. I broke down in front of a young nurse today. She had been studying for a month with a sister from my former congregation, and she has canceled the study forever. After having brought over a dozen people into the org, I'm glad that probably my last act is saving one. Sorry for the rant and rambling. I've been so terrified of posting on this forum. And that story, man, once I read it, it hurts to read that, you know? So I wanted to share it with you guys. So this is what happens when a JW dedicates their entire life to this organization. The whole family, like everything. She gave everything. And she's there in a hospital bed being shunned because they disassociated her because they said she wasn't unrepentant. Who are they to say that? She made a medical decision on her own about her own body. How dare you disassociate her over that? And now she explains what she's going through. Very sad.
So here's a special request. We have a special request going out to JW Org and Jean Zermatten from the United Nations. Can Jean Zermatten please answer Ruby's question? How can this happen within an organization, and how can you be part of this charitable, fluffy, perfect little human rights UN religion? How can that all be? This doesn't even make sense to be a charitable religion. This is none other than an organized cult. It's none other than an organized cult. These are followers of men who have made rules. They've said over and over, we're not even inspired. We don't know what the hell we're doing. We're changing our rules every year. We're going to say to you guys that it's Jehovah doing it. So you guys, you fools out there, believe us. But you guys are just fools. You believe us. But we're going to keep saying it. We're going to change the rules. And we're going to tell you that we don't know what we're doing and we don't have all the answers. Like how the handwriting is on the wall, guys. The handwriting's on the wall. Why are we dicking around with this organization? Why do we even go to the assemblies once a year with people to make people happy? Write your letter, your resignation letter, get her in there, be clear about it. The blood issue is a good one. It's a good mountain to die on in that religion because it's life and death. And that ruling is not done according to the way Jesus would have done it. Read the Bible. Jesus broke laws to save a lamb. Isn't a human life worth more than a lamb?
Yes.
Jesus saved an animal on a Sabbath.
Right.
That's what Jesus was about. Wouldn't you save your cat or your dog on the Sabbath? Break the law? Wouldn't you save your own life if you could, and you were in a car accident and it involved a treatment that broke a law, broke a rule? Of course you would. Jesus taught that. So this is where this organization is a way out to lunch, and they're responsible for the killing and deaths of thousands of people worldwide for decades, and decades. There's a lot of thousands of people.
Yeah, I feel so, that bothers me so much. Especially when she describes that ever since, her husband died, that the congregation really helped. Like, that's what they're supposed to do. That's what we expect from our brothers and sisters, to come together, bring meals, and take care of anybody who's sick, or, exactly her situation. That would be the Christian thing to do, to help our brothers and sisters, right? And then as soon as she's announced that she's just like, as if she disassociated, as if it was her choice, she disassociated herself from the congregation. All of the sudden, all of that help that she thought she would have had, gone overnight because of an announcement like that. That's what really bothers me, that the help was only coming from a conditional place, conditions that she was an active spiritual Jehovah's Witness. The moment she was announced that she wasn't, regardless of what she said, I mean, they could have went to her privately and said, what's going on? Let me know what you need. What's going on? Let me help you. No, all the help left in an instant. That's exactly what they do to us when we no longer want to be Jehovah's Witnesses, or when we get announced against our will, or when they remove us completely. There is no explanation. There is no story behind why you left. And now they demonize you. And if you speak against the religion, anything, it could be negatively, any negative points you make about the religion, they call you an apostate. And that's even worse than getting removed, because now you are more of a threat. Not only are you removed, but now you are targeting us. You're persecuting us. You're spreading lies about us. And all of that is false. And what they did to that poor woman is diabolical, because she's 57 years old. How would you expect her to get a job and to support herself? And there's just so many things that I'm thinking about, and I can't believe that they would drop her like a bag of, like a sack of potatoes, drop you overnight.
And this is one of how many cases out there? There's so many cases we probably don't even know about.
Yeah.
When it comes to what they've done here.
Yeah, no, it's so sad. But okay, that's another reason why, when I no longer wanted to be a Jehovah's Witness, it was because I could not, with a good conscience, call myself one of Jehovah's Witnesses when I knew that my extended brothers and sisters that call themselves Jehovah's Witnesses, they do this to their family, to their friends, to their so-called brothers and sisters. This is how they treat them. So how can I call myself that? Because I would never do that. And I would never want to be part of an organization that its members do that to each other. Because Jehovah's Witnesses say we are a worldwide brotherhood. It doesn't matter how old you are, your race, your background. It doesn't matter. We are all one brotherhood. So why are my brothers and sisters, so-called Christian brotherhood, doing this to a 57-year-old sister in the congregation just because she is disassociated? Did you even ask her? Did you even see what happened? I don't think so. And that's upsetting.
Yeah. Well, that's good that you brought that up. Thanks, Ruby. I made a lot of videos on the blood. I'd made one just recently. And it was what would you say how would you leave the Jehovah's Witness religion? I just made that video. It was all about the blood. And one of the scriptures that stands out in my mind is in Romans, and it says it's not what you put in your body that defiles you, it's what comes out of your body. It's the words. You can put like stuff in our body, it's food, right? It's not what you put in your body, but what comes out. That is the defilement. So JW Org has this backwards. What's coming out of their mouths is a defilement to the Bible. And that's a fact when it comes to this part. Well, thanks, Ruby. I'm going to let you carry on with your next story.
Yes. So I got 2 more stories before I dive into a personal story that I will be giving an update with King Tony. So really quickly, one of my good friends on Twitter, and this is a joke, all right? Don't drag me in the comments, but my good friend Ron Pomo is tweeting about this mandate, the clergy accountability thing in Washington. And so he shares this QR code. So if you don't have X, maybe you guys can screenshot it here, or maybe I can zoom in or something. It says, if you live in Washington, add your name to support a clergy mandate reporting bill. All right, let me read you the tweet. He says, we need your help in spreading the word and rallying support for another effort to make clergy mandatory reporters in Washington. The Clergy Accountability Coalition is a Washington-based group of individuals across the religious and political spectrum working together to push our legislator to pass a clergy-mandated reporter bill this upcoming session. Meetings have been held with a large array of religious groups across denominations, survivor groups, tribal representatives, law groups, state senators and representatives, and the Office of the Washington State Attorney General. Please share this graphic and link, and if you live in Washington, add your name in support of a clergy-mandated reporter bill. The bill is filed and will be public soon. Please reach out to your representatives. And this was posted on January 5th, 2025. So I'm going to share that link. And if anybody of you guys have X, you can get that QR code. And please, if you do live in Washington State, please think of getting involved in this. You don't have to be an XJW. It doesn't matter. If you are a law-abiding citizen in Washington State, please consider getting involved in this, because I think that's great. Okay, so the next article comes from Discord. It was shared through username Genie93. I don't know if you saw that, Vern, but she posted it for Joe and Fran, and I hope that Joe and Fran will also like repeat this on their show. But this was a really, really weird article that the JWs put on their site. Maybe you guys have seen this, but I didn't, because I don't go on this website. But it's entitled, "Do Jehovah's Witnesses Pressure People to Change Religions?" And I was like, okay, let me read this. It says, no, we do not. We have stated in our principal magazine, The Watchtower, quote, pressuring people to change their religion is wrong. We avoid pressuring people for the following reasons. I can't take this seriously. And I'm not even going to read the whole thing because it's a bunch of lies. But they want to use Jesus as an example that he didn't pressure people to convert. Then they talk about, is our work proselytism? I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correct. Am I pronouncing that? I don't know. Proselytism? And so they agree that it's true. We spread the Bible's message to the most distant part of the earth, doing so publicly from house to house as commanded in the Bible. And like the early Christians, we are sometimes accused of proselytizing illegally. Oh, I hate when they do this. I hate when they do this. But they always want to bring up that, the governments are against them. However, those accusations are false. We do not try to force our beliefs on anyone. Instead, we believe that people should be allowed to take in knowledge so that they may make an informed choice. Oh, is that right, Watchtower? Were we allowed to take in knowledge so that we can make informed choices? Absolutely not.
See, I think they're changing they're changing their face. Watchtower's changing the way their religion is looking online. And they're changing the whole thing. You can be in that religion, check the box every month and really not do anything. The religion is changing. And they're forced to change by the governments.
Yes.
And remember, they're not inspired and they really don't know what they're doing. They're running a business. They're trying to make money.
Yes.
And it really irks them when they lose charity status. That's what this is about. This here is all about making their religion look like any other religion, and they should be getting charity status the same as all these other religions. That's what this is about, Ruby. That's what I think.
Yes. So, Watchtower, please explain this to me. Were we given the opportunity to take in knowledge so that we may make informed choices? If you were born and raised in this cult like I was, the answer would be absolutely not. We were not given a choice. We weren't given an option. Some of us didn't even know that other beliefs even existed. I was so isolated. I knew that there was probably like different Christians, but I didn't know what they believed in. So how was I supposed to make an informed choice, Watchtower? We were indoctrinated to believe that this was the truth, no matter what anybody said, because it came directly from Jehovah. And then the next paragraph says, we do not coerce people into changing religions. What? Guys, in the chat, remember when you were a Jehovah's Witness and you would go door to door and we would go on return visits, which means we would return visit on the householder. Would you consider that coercion? Because I think I would. We would visit and visit and visit. We would sometimes bring gifts. We would sometimes pick them up to go to the Kingdom Hall. We were trying to be on our best, utmost behavior, dressed to the nines. And I think that that is coercing people to think that we were a great, organization or whatever. I mean, I didn't know that. Now I do know that. But the adults at the time should have, could have known that, regardless of indoctrination. But they don't care. They don't tell people the truth at the door, that there is an average of at least one pedophile in every Kingdom Hall. It says, nor do we carry out political activity under the guise of religion. Political activity? How about realty activity? Buying and selling properties under the guise of religion, because that's what this organization does. Or how about being a whole publishing company that is disguised as a religion? Or offer material or social advantages to gain new adherents. Are they out of their mind? You guys, Watchtower, please give me a break. You don't offer social advantages? How many times have we picked up people and hung out with them just because they were studying? And, the little girl, I would become the little girl's friend, and her mom would study with my mom. And it was a huge social advantage to have a Jehovah's Witness as your friend, because as long as we thought you were converting, we fed you, we picked you up, we gave you money, we bought you things, you came to our house, we did everything for you, because we used to think that we were converting you by showing you what it's like to be one of Jehovah's Witnesses. Disgusting.
So let me ask you this. So we're reading this JW jargon, and does a person, okay, put that back up there. I was just, does a person have a right to change religions? So you can change religions if you're a Jehovah's Witness, but does it show what's going to happen to you? They don't show that, do they? Like, you can change. You have a right to change. I can hand in my resignation at the Kingdom Hall and say, hey, I'm going to change religions. But then what happens?
Can you? Because really, if you do that, you will lose your entire family.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You will lose all of your friends.
But it doesn't mean you don't.
Everything.
They're not handcuffing you. They don't have you in jail. Anybody has the right, whatever the consequences. No one's going to be shot at or anything like that. You have the right to change religions. You just have to put up with the consequences that you'll no longer have any.
Which nobody tells you about. Nobody describes the consequences, but they say, yeah, sure, you have the right. Nobody, like you said, nobody's holding you, forcing you to become a Jehovah's Witness. That's exactly what I told my mom. I said, why are you forcing me if I don't want to do it?
Yeah.
Now, when I changed my religion, when I went to an Orthodox church, that was the ultimate reason she gave me to shun me. So that is another hill that I would die on, is that she is violating my First Amendment right to freedom of religion. Even Watchtower says I have the right to change my religion. So why are you shunning me?
So this looks like, with this article that they put out, maybe one of the next changes here is maybe they're going to loosen up on a lot of this stuff maybe this is how they're going to do it. They're pitching it. They're hoping that the new audience forgets what the old audience had to put up with all our lives. And so people that are in it, they easily accept these changes. Oh yeah, it's Jehovah. Jehovah's behind all this, because they don't watch the news. They don't see what's going on in the other side of the coin. You know, they just watch JW stuff, and they believe that this is just all part of the way the organization is going. I think that's what they think.
Yeah, and like you mentioned earlier, they are always using the United Nations. They always mention them, and I find it so disgusting because it says it right here. The right to change religions is supported by the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which the United Nations has called the foundation of international human rights law. Why? Why are once again, why are you using the United Nations when you have the Bible right in front of you?
Higher authority clothes. They love Gene Zermatten. They love him. He's a lobbyist for them. We emailed Gene Zermatten and he changed his page.
Yeah.
These guys know we're watching them. But they got to be called out. This article, good work, Ruby, calling this out, because it's total BS. So they better change their elders book, and they better change a lot of other things. And we better start seeing that we have family and friends calling, hey, how's it going? We changed our religion. You know, they better change things. But what they're doing here is lies. They're lying. They're lying to the Human Rights Court. They're lying to the world. And only us, we're the only ones that can call this out, XJW. So
exactly. And this is why we are here doing what we do. So thank you to Jeannie93 on Discord. She sent me the link, and she also wants Joe and Fran to cover it. But I told her, I'm going to do this tonight. Thank you for sending it, because I'm doing it tonight. This got me my blood boiling.
And we can cover it several times, on different programs. Absolutely.
Yeah. So this one is a good one. Does religious conversion dishonor family traditions or customs? This need not be the case. The Bible encourages respect for all, regardless of their religion. In addition, Jehovah's Witnesses obey the Bible's command to honor their parents, even if they have different beliefs.
BS. This is complete BS. So why do we have, like Joe and Fran, why do we have their kids won't talk to them? Joe and Fran have different beliefs. I have different beliefs. My daughter won't speak to me. None of the JWs will speak to me. This is a BS statement, JW.org. You better correct this, or
once again, contradictions. And you know what?
I hope these guys got to be brought to task on this, and I guess this is how we're doing it. Publicly. But this is a BS statement. The internet police have to get out there and find them. They got to be fined. This is garbage. Yep. Thanks for bringing that out.
And they always use that scripture about honoring your parents. Well, what if it's the other way around? Like, my mother is shunning me because I converted to Orthodoxy. So where is my respect for my religious beliefs, for converting to another religion? So they want to use that point about outsiders converting to Jehovah's Witness, but they never want to use it when a Jehovah's Witness converts to something else. What do they call us when we convert? Apostates. And that is the true definition. You get baptized in another religion, apostate, shunning, don't even talk to them.
I could pull the elders book up right now and show you.
Go ahead, because
I'll get off the screen here and I'll look for it.
Okay, good. You see, Vern got the receipts, because as soon as my mom saw the picture of me going to church, I took a picture of the icons of the Orthodox Church. I took a picture of my kids wearing a cross necklace, getting the Orthodox Study Bible. As soon as she saw that on Instagram, she texted me and she said, "You know that that's false religion. Why are you doing that? You know that that's wrong." Basically saying it's wrong to look into other belief systems. It's wrong to go into other churches. You know that, Ruby. Come on. And I said, I don't know anything, actually. I don't know what these people believe in. I don't know how they view God or anything. That's why I'm coming here, is to learn. And I started going to their Bible studies, and I started going to the liturgy, and I started going to literally every meeting they had. I wanted to understand, what do these Christians believe in? Because everybody calls themselves a Christian, but I want to know, what is real Christianity? I want to get to the original Christian beliefs. And that's where I found it. And I told my mom, I don't know anything. How do you know that they're false religion? Have you gone to an Orthodox church? Have you gone to any church? So how do you know what they believe in or what they don't believe in? You actually have to talk to these people, right? And as Jehovah's Witnesses, that's what we're supposed to do when we go door to door. We're supposed to talk to people about their religious beliefs and have biblical conversations and share scriptures with them as to why they're wrong or we're right. But that's exactly what it is the wrong intentions, is to show people how they're wrong and we're right, why your religion is wrong, why my new age movement religion is better than yours. And that's why I reject it. And that's why I say they're not a religion. They are a cult. Look up the definition of a cult. Look up the definition of a religion. Two very different things. A religion is something, a belief system that is for like thousands of years. A cult is something that, or new age movement, is something that has been started recently. So by definition, the religion that Charles Taze Russell started is a new age movement religion. It's a cult. It's based on what one guy, and then the next guy, and the next guy, and the next, a bunch of men who interpreted scriptures on their own and slapped God's name on it. And King Tony talks about this all the time, that Jehovah's not even God's name. Okay, Vern, got you back. Are you with us? Unmute yourself if you can hear me. Jay says, that's not true anymore, Ruby. Now J-Dubs just send people to JW. Yes, exactly. Oh, there goes Vern. Got you.
Okay, just opening another screen here.
Oh, okay, got you. Exactly, which is why I know that this whole little change about sending people to the website, that's disgusting. Because it was our job to read our Bible, to know our Bible, and to speak to other Christians about the Bible. Why are you sending people to a website? That's how you know it's a corporation. It used to be a religion, and it turned into a corporation. That's just my opinion. Johnny says, Ruby, come on, you know the governing body has the truth. You have to blindly follow the... Yeah, no, I'm done with that. And I actually can't believe they actually said that in one of their publications. Hello, Vic. Hello. So I'll just look at your comments until Vern is ready to come back on. Michelle says, JWs are lazy now. I don't think they're lazy. Because I think they're just following orders, following what the organization is telling them to do.
I'm just emailing it to myself. I have it on another computer, the Elders book, but you got some other articles and I can dig it up here. But it's interesting. The Elders book does show that you're disassociating yourself. If you leave that religion and you join another religion, you leave that, you don't accept a blood transfusion. There's all these rules. You're disassociated, and disassociated is an S377 form or whatever. It's the same form that they use for disfellowshipping. And your name is announced just like a disfellowship person. And they say Vern Hool is no longer one of Jehovah's Witnesses. They actually have it right in the Elders book, what they're to say. So your name gets announced. You're a sinner. Because your name's announced, you're a sinner. You're a rotten, no good for nothing. You left our organization. Like, this is what people are thinking. But they just announced this, and then they'll give a talk. The next Sunday, they'll give a talk. And the talk will be about the sin. That's how they identify the sin. So they know it's Vern Hool. Like, they might as well just come out and say Vern Hool's and rotten apostate, because on Sunday they're going to give a talk about apostasy. They're going to announce Vern Hool, and then the next week they give a talk, and then the whole congregation knows that Vern is a rotten apostate. He's the same as the devil. And then they treat you the same. This is how this rotten organization works, and that's why we're up here doing what we're doing. Now I'm gonna get off the screen here and pull up the Elders book and show it.
Okay, so I mean, by definition, I have disassociated myself as one of Jehovah's Witnesses officially, because I was inactive for many years and I just kind of faded. And those family ties could have still been open. If my mom wanted to talk to me, she could back then. But as of December 24th, 2024, Christmas Eve, I got baptized as an Orthodox Christian, and therefore I am officially disassociated as one of Jehovah's Witnesses. And not only that, I am officially an apostate in their eyes. So I don't even have to write a letter. I was thinking about writing a letter. I don't even have to write a letter. I don't have to tell them my intentions at all, because I already gave them the proof. Okay, here goes the receipts. So this is the Shepherd of the Flock of God book. This is the Elders book for anybody who doesn't know. This is a secret book that only the elders in the Congregation of Jehovah's Witnesses have access to. Average JW attendees do not have access to the contents of this book, which for me was scandalous, because I didn't even know that they had a book to begin with. So not only did I find out that they had a book of rules, and then it was like, oh, why can't we read it? Oh, sorry, you have to be an elder to read that. So that was the second blow. Now,
the very first thing I like, this is a very chapter 1. You're a brand new elder. You're reading the book. You seek to understand the Bible, but you put that aside and you obey the direction from the faithful, discreet slave. And if that's not good enough, well, you've got some overseers appointed to take the lead, such as those at the branch, circuit overseers, and then your other elders, right? You better listen to them. Yeah. You better be kind and loving. Don't tell them where to go. Be nice, and open and close all meetings with a prayer. So you seek the Bible, but you obey the faithful slave. You obey men, but you seek some wisdom from the Bible, right? So this is a man's organization. This is a cult. It's spelt right out here, folks. If anybody can't see that, I'll blow it up. This should be the telltale sign to tell you that you're following men, the faithful, discreet slave. Obey them. And this is the elders book, and only seek to apply the Bible, because you elders are too stupid. You guys are too stupid to understand the Bible. You have to obey us because we know. Do we know? Oh, no, we're not inspired. Oh, shit. I got to change that next elders book. But that's this is the garbage that they're by. Now, if you want to know how to get disassociated, control find. Here's how you do that.
Oh, and side note, once again, for those of you who don't know, the Jehovah's Witnesses considered the governing body as the faithful and discreet slave. Now, I am going to research, how the Orthodox, what is the Orthodox perspective on the faithful, discreet slave title? And then I want to compare my old beliefs and see what they say, because now I don't even know who the faithful and discreet slave is, because I know it's not the governing body. So now that makes me do research into biblical things.
How do you spell disassociated?
Okay. D-I-S. This, okay. And then associated.
There, 2 out of 56 times that comes up. It comes up 56 times. So allows all of about disassociation. Let's blow this up a bit. Oops.
Yes, Steen. But removed is for disfellowshipping. I think they still kept the term disassociated, because they are two different things. So if I'm not mistaken, removed is the new term for disfellowshipping, not disassociated. So I still think they disassociate people. I don't know. We're gonna find out.
So here it is, unnecessary association with a disfellowshipped or disassociated individual. If it's willful and continued and unnecessary association with a disfellowshipped or disassociated non-relative despite repeated counsel would warrant judicial action. Now, if a publisher in the congregation is known to have unnecessary association with a disfellowshipped or disassociated relative who are not in the household, elders should use scriptures to counsel and reason with him, review with him information from the Remain in God's Love book. And if it's clear that this Christian is violating the spirit of disfellowshipping decree, and they call it a disfellowshipping decree in this regard, and does not respond to counsel, he would not qualify for congregation privileges, which would require one to be exemplary. He would not be dealt with judicially unless there is persistent spiritual association, and that's 3 times, by the way, or he persists in openly criticizing the decision. So let's say my brother was disfellowshipped, and I wanted to go to a movie with him. I'm going to get counsel number 1.
Right.
And if I go to another movie,
Can you zoom in more? No. Can you zoom in the page more? Okay, there we go. Got it.
Yeah, if you associate with your relative not in the household, you're going to get counseled, you're going to lose your privileges, and if you're persistent and you say to the people, well, my brother shouldn't have been disfellowshipped or treated like this, they're going to say he's persistent and openly criticizing the decision, the elders.
Yes.
And they're going to disfellowship you. That's how that is.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it works.
Yeah. They want you to stay quiet. Do not question the disfellowshipping arrangement. It is a loving arrangement from Jehovah to keep the flock safe. So don't even talk to that person, even if it is your daughter or your mother or your father or your son. It doesn't matter. You could even live in the same household. Don't talk to them about spiritual things.
Yeah, they're treating disfellowshipping and disassociated as the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, if you're attending meetings, it's all the way through the book. Now, you notice disassociated is in there 56 times. You want to know how many times love is in this book, this loving shepherding book? I'm going to put the word love in.
All right.
5 times.
Wow, 5 times. Such a
Love.
loving organization.
Now, you want to know how many times judicial is in there?
Oh, probably like 100.
Judicial. 337 times.
You see? I was like 100. Yep.
This is a judicial book. It's not a loving shepherding book. That's a confusion.
Right.
Anyways.
Yeah, it's a corporation. It's a company. That's how companies operate. So
I just got to run.
I'm done with it. I am done with it, but I am not done here. This is where the activism starts. This is where the exposing starts, the whistleblowing, like whatever you want to call it. This is why we're here. And we should never stop giving our stories. And whenever there is a new XJW, like Luke Evans, even if he's not a celebrity, it doesn't matter. He's a little person that went through the same things we went through. And that's what I love, when people are not afraid to tell their story about growing up in this cult. It wakes people up. And then they will find a platform like ours, a community like ours, a Discord server like ours, and they are able to be reconnected with us. Or maybe with their friends and family. Like I told you guys a long time ago in the Liberati Facebook group, me and King Tony found one of our childhood friends. We used to grow up in that Kingdom Hall. So it's so shocking to see us, you know, like living our lives and moving on, and like, oh, whatever happened to you? Whatever happened to you? Like, what did you end up doing? Oh my God, you got married. Do you have kids? It's like a family reunion almost, when you find out that you still have people out there that understand you and can congratulate you on new things. Like, I was going to this church. Nobody was going to tell me, oh, you know, great, you're educating yourself. You know, that's really good. You're teaching your kids. I wasn't going to get that from anybody. But who did I get it from? I got it from other XJWs who are not even Christian, who the majority of the XJW community, they could disagree with me 100% for going to that church. But what did they tell me? Wow, Ruby, you're doing amazing. You're doing great. You're involving your kids into something. Even if they disagreed with me on getting baptized, they still congratulated me. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's you guys who were the only ones, and King Tony, the only other person and family that actually saw me do this, experienced it with me, congratulated with me. You know what I'm saying? Like, you guys were with me, even though it wasn't physical. You were still with me on that journey, and you guys were there. You know what I'm saying? So I want that for everybody. All right, guys. So that ends.
Thank you. That's really great. Yeah. Now you have a guest on back, right?
Yes, I do.
I'm going to disappear, and I'm going to let you put your guest on and carry the rest of the show. This is the exciting part. And I'm going to watch from backstage, and I'll come back on at the end.
All right. So thank you, Vern. Thank you so much.
We'll see you guys in a bit.
All right. So we got King Tony here. You can unmute yourself. You are on the stage. Welcome, King Tony.
Hello.
Woo!
Hi, everyone.
All right. So we are going, this is a special extension of our news because I have a great update that we are going to give you together because, you know, King Tony and I had to, we had to join forces on this one. I couldn't do this alone. So let me just give a recap for everybody before we dive into it. I think it was about a week ago, or like the last news that we did together. I gave Vern and everybody the story of my Jehovah's Witness uncle who was had to register as a sex offender. And for those of you that don't know, the Jehovah's Witnesses have a huge problem with child sexual abuse and pedophilia within the organization. They would rather protect the identities of pedophiles rather than get the justice for the victimized children or people that were involved in abuse. A lot of these cases have gone to the courts in the United States and in other countries, and they have settled out of court so that this doesn't come to light. And this is what Watchtower loves. They love to settle out of court so that they don't have to go to trial, okay? But that doesn't mean that they are not guilty, okay? Because I remember one of the governing body members said on the broadcasting, oh, that just because we've settled doesn't mean that we are guilty. Well, it does. It also doesn't mean that you're not guilty. You know what I'm saying? Like, just because you had a payout doesn't mean anything. All right. Anyways, so my uncle got arrested in 2019. And so he took a plea deal since it was his first offense. First time he got caught. And so he had to register as a sex offender in his state. So I gave you guys that story. Now, what happened was there was a social media post that I came across that has him attending a private movie screening of the movie Mufasa, which is a children's movie. That's The Lion King. And I'm scrolling through the photos and I see my uncle there with some minor children also in attendance. And that really bothered me. I said, why is my pedophile uncle going to see a children's movie with children present? So I commented on the post, and that's exactly what I said. Now, the original person who posted it never deleted the comment. She never answered me. She never sent me a private DM. She did not say anything. But my aunt-in-law, his wife, started making phone calls to my family, trying to get in contact with me, saying that I'm causing problems on the internet and that I am basically, I don't know, slandering him or defaming him, saying that he's a registered sex offender on the internet and that that's harassment. And she wants to get to the bottom of it by contacting me. So that was the recap of last week, that she was trying to get in contact with me. So you know what I did, right? I went on the internet and I doxed my own uncle so that I can get his information, so I can see what can I do with this situation or what should I do. And then that's where King Tony comes into play. I got the address, the name, the birthday. I had everything I need to possibly report that he was hanging out with kids and he's a pedophile. Like, what the heck? I don't care what level of offender he is. He should not be around children. Okay? And then, I had her phone number, right? And so when I told my husband, that's what I said last week, that my husband called her and they had this crazy argument for about 5 minutes straight. And I have a recording of it. King Tony heard it and it was insane. So King Tony, would you like to give a comment of your opinion about that recorded conversation?
It's disgusting. Just to hear someone talk like that about just people in general. This is people in your own community, in your own organization that you say you're united and you have this trust amongst each other. But when it comes to protecting, it's like all hands off. And it's confusing, and it's just, who are you really protecting? You're protecting the predator.
Exactly. So basically what she told my husband in that phone call was to mind your business. Worry about your own children. Worry about yourself. Even if I was a Jehovah's Witness right now, I probably would have slapped her in her face if I was like in person, because I'm like, what are you talking about? Mind my business. Or just worry about my own kids. What about the kids at the Kingdom Hall? What about the kids? Any kid. It doesn't matter if they're a Jehovah's Witness or not a Jehovah's Witness. You know that your husband is a sex offender. Why was he invited to a children's movie? It doesn't make sense. Then she goes on to say, well, let me educate you because you don't know the law. But he has his own paperwork that details what he can do and what he can't do. And we were like, okay, can he hang out with kids? Don't worry about it. It's none of your business. Okay. I can tell you for a fact that nobody would tell a pedophile that he can hang out with kids as long as it's in the appropriate environment. Oh, that there's some boundaries. Like, you could be around kids, but you probably have to have a witness or a second witness, like that, how the stupid second witness rule that Jehovah's Witnesses use. That's where she's going with it. Like, oh, he knows his limitations. You don't need to get involved. As if he's going to respect those limitations. Do you really think he's going to respect that? I don't think so. And I'm not going to take that risk either.
Because they think it's just a physical thing, and it's not just a physical thing for these predators.
Right.
This is an emotional, mental thing. This is deep. And the action is only, that's nothing. The beginning starts, where's the root? The heart, the mind, and then action is the result. So you teach yourself. You teach this every single year, 365, 24 hours, 7 days a week. Like,
Exactly. So that's why I said what I said and I did what I did, because I don't care. I saw what I saw and I'm not going to stay quiet about it. Now she's upset that I'm not going to stay quiet about it. And she is using intimidation tactics to try to get my phone number, try to talk to me, she's trying to intimidate me into silence. That's what they are doing. And they are active Jehovah's Witnesses. Okay. He can go to a Kingdom Hall if he wants to, because apparently Watchtower has watchers that watch these pedophiles when they attend the Kingdom Hall. Why wasn't his invitation revoked as soon as he became registered? That's my question. Why can't he just take the meeting on Zoom, right? But if he really wanted to go, he can go. Nobody really knows. Do you think they're going to be telling people that he's a registered sex offender? No, they're not. So these Jehovah's Witnesses who went to the same party most likely do not know that they were brushing shoulders with a pedophile. And so you see, Steen says, be careful about slander. It's not slander if it's the truth. Okay? Nobody can prosecute you, at least in the United States where we have freedom of speech. It's the truth. It's not slander. All right. So, anyways, I told King Tony this story. She said, no, you need to get in contact. You need to call, the local PD, yada, yada. And remember, last week I said, I called the Kingdom Host. I left voice messages. I called the local police department. They tried to help me, but really couldn't help me. They said, go to your local police department. So I did. I went to my local police department. I explained the story to the officer there. And it took a lot out of me. Like, I wrote that it really took a lot out of me to talk about that. And that's why I was like, damn, man. I mean, if you could pray for me, please pray for me, because I went through it. I felt like I was really getting attacked by a demon, because I was like, who defends pedophilia? Who defends that? If you defend that, that's satanic, in my opinion. I'm sorry. You cannot defend. You can't defend it in any kind of way. Oh, I see your comment, Steen. Slander can be true. No, you're wrong. Okay, so you know what? We'll look it up. Thank you, Steen. We'll look it up. Because all I said in the comment on the internet was, why is my uncle at this event? He's a registered sex offender. That's all I said. I don't think that constitutes as slander, but I have the screenshots and all the evidence. I have everything. So, King Tony, the cop told me, we're not going to take a police report. This happened in New York. You need to call the New York City PD and talk to them again. So I texted Tony and I said, Tony, I have a mission for you. If you wish to accept it, you need to be my Tom Cruise and do this Mission Impossible for me. You are in New York City. You need to go to your local police department and you need to take one for the team. You need to do this for us. So I want King Tony to explain what you did the other day at your local PD, how they treated you, what they told you, and what happened. Go ahead.
So I go in and it's pretty empty. I go up to the officer. It was a woman. And I said, Happy New Year. And she looked at me like, oh, yeah, Happy New Year. But like she's waiting, like, and I'm like, I'm here just to ask questions in regards to like sexual offenders. And then she was like, mind you, there's 2 other officers.
Yeah.
They're listening.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, well, did something happen?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, I really don't want to discuss the details because I don't really know if this is something that needs to be reported.
Right.
I kind of just want to ask some questions if there's anyone I can speak to specifically.
Mm-hmm.
And just go over the basics.
Right, because you wanted general information. You didn't really have like, I want to report something. You just wanted general information, and they were looking at you like, why?
Right.
And I hate that when people do that. Like, you're the police. You work for us. If I come in here asking anything, you should give it to me. You work for me.
Right.
Okay, go ahead.
And then the other 2 in the back kind of chimed in and they were like, oh, well, if you can basically look up that information online.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, well, I have tried that and there's been some issues because I don't have all the information I need. So I thought maybe this is the last resort. Let's just come in and ask some questions. And I'm sure you guys can answer it because this is the precinct and you should have more access to information than I would,
Right.
you know? And they kind of like brushed it off. They were trying to brush it off at least. And I said, well, first off, I would like to speak to 1 person and not 3.
Right.
That's the first thing, because I don't want to spread my information like that. Like,
It's just a sensitive topic. We're talking about sex offenders and pedophiles. Like, can
right,
you help me out here?
Yeah. So the woman officer comes out and she talks to me and she, she's like, okay, so like, what's going on? What happened? And I told her basically that, this is a family of a family, and that basically I'm a Jehovah's Witness. And I just have questions in regards to how religion or churches report pedophiles or sexual offenders.
Right.
I do know that there's certain laws that can protect them, or they use to not report these things. In essence, protecting the predator.
Right.
And also, I do know that they do not properly inform families of these things.
Right.
Or that we have pedophiles in our own congregation.
Right.
So in the case we do find out, what is the process? And I just have a lot of questions. So do you have a paper, a general paper that you can provide me with, a document, anything that I can go based off? And then
because there was an issue about his level of registration. So in New York State, a level 2, level 3, which is worse to, bad to worse, their face is going to be on the internet, mugshot, their charges, everything's going to be public, even their address. But you see, he's a level 1, technically, because he is considered kind of safe. Yeah, low risk.
That's what they said, the lowest risk.
The lowest risk. But we know that he's not low risk.
Because he only got caught once. But that doesn't mean he wasn't doing it before. We don't know.
Right.
We can't really say, but the point is he only got caught once.
Right. But I know because of the information that I've always had when this happened in 2019 and the people that I've spoken to. So I know these things, that he's not level 1, but technically, legally, he's level 1. So what are we supposed to do? Is it illegal for us to announce that this person is a registered sex offender because his name and, everything is not, publicly listed on the internet for New York State? Or can we safely announce that he is a registered sex offender? Like, how do we go about that? And what happens when we see him with kids?
And then so she shows me the website, the criminal justice website of New York.
Right.
And she shows me these numbers to call. And I said, okay, no problem. Thank you for showing me this. I have not called these numbers. So I'm going to go home and do some work. And in the case that I still, hit a dead end, I'll probably come back here to see,
yes,
what you can help me with or whatever. She was like, okay, no problem. So that's when
you go home, you call me, we on FaceTime. I said, give me the number, call that number. And I heard the whole conversation on FaceTime of how she spoke to you, how she treated you. It wasn't all that professional, but we'll just skip to the part where she gave you an email. She gave you, I think, another phone number. And she said, okay, do this. Call this number, find out his registration with the information you have. And then you called it. That was the number. So we gave the name, we gave the address, his birthday, everything. And they did confirm.
I told her I have his name. I know he lives in in the Bronx. And then she asked for his birthday, and I said, unfortunately, I don't have the day he was born, but I have the
exact date.
Year.
Right. We have that.
Give it to me, and she ended up finding his everything.
Good.
And that everything happened in what, 10 minutes? That's
quick.
How fast.
And that's what we wanted. We first wanted confirmation that he's still registered, that he's still on the list, so that we can move forward. Okay, so now how do I go about reporting him?
Right. And I asked her, the first thing she says is that, he can go and live a normal life. He can go and do, normal things. And I said, yes, sure. But, as a family member and as a citizen, I deserve to know the guidelines and what, like, certain things that he can and cannot do, so that in the case he is violating that,
we would know if he's in violation, right? But we're not going to know if we don't have the guidelines.
She was very rude And she was just like, well, I can't provide you that. And at the end of the day, he can live a normal life. And that was it. And then end of conversation.
No, unacceptable. I'm sorry, but that's unacceptable because I don't care if he could live a perfectly normal, like, yeah, he can go home, he can go to work, but he cannot be hanging around with kids socially in a social environment, like hanging out. I'm sorry, but that's unacceptable for me.
Well, I go back.
So you get dressed, you go back to the police department, and what did you do?
I said, let me just go back. I go back, and it looked crazy. It almost made me not turn right back around and go right back out.
You was
But
discouraged.
yeah, I said, no, you know what? Let me just go in. Let me see if I can speak to the same officer.
Right.
There was a line. And at the same time, I'm on the line. Someone was getting booked. Another person was inside already dealing with it. They were dealing with them. I was like, oh my goodness. And I just start praying.
Good.
So I finally get to her, and you know what's crazy? So I didn't say this though, but the first time I went there, when I told her I'm a Jehovah's Witness, and I told her, I ended up telling her, this is a cult, and they, I'm 31 years old, realizing that my whole life was a lie. Do you know how that feels? Do you know how embarrassed I am? She looked at me and she went,
You start spilling your whole life story.
I told her like in 2 minutes, a bunch. She looked at me and she goes, well, you shouldn't take the blame for that because you were just a child. And I said, yeah, but I'm 31 and I'm just realizing that my whole life is a lie.
Right.
This is embarrassing. And then on top of that, to find out that there's pedophiles that have been protected and that are being protected.
Right.
And that we're not being alerted properly.
Right.
And she goes, wow, this is rare. I don't really see people going out of their way to, alert the authorities or just to, ring the bell on these predators and just bring them out to the light and like really trying to help the community. And I said, well, you know what? That has to change because the life I lived was not good. And it's continuing. And this is a family of a family. I'm not going to stop.
Right. Neither would I.
That's what I told her. And so when I come back though, it was like a little different because I know it's not as urgent as they may think it is.
Right.
Right. It's not a life or death situation in this moment.
Right.
But it's still important. And the point
it
is the first step. And that's this. You know what I'm saying? And how many times you're on the bus, you see something, say something. You on the train.
That's the motto of New York City. If you see something, say something. And we grew up in New York, so
crosswalk, the freaking machine. You see something, say like it's everywhere. Advertisements, it's everywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
So it just didn't make sense. The second time I came around, she's looking at me, but this time it's almost like, oh, like she came back. Like,
yeah.
Like, I know you don't want to deal with this. This might be a little tedious, but this is like.
It's because they don't understand.
And then something does happen.
Exactly. We're trying to do the preventative care so that he doesn't have any access ever to try to do what he tried to do. And what they don't know is how this cult operates, how the Jehovah's Witnesses hide pedophiles. What they don't know is all of the past history that my uncle has had, and they just disfellowshipped him. They never reported it to the police, and I know this as a fact. I spoke about this in my video. I've said this is like the 4th time he gets disfellowshipped, but the 1st time he gets caught legally. So that makes me question all of those other judicial committees where they knew what he did or what he was trying to do, and it involves little kids. So don't tell me that this is not important, that if I wasn't there it doesn't matter, or if there was no crime committed, oh well. No, we're trying to prevent something from happening with a known pedophile now that we know that he is one.
Yep.
Okay, sorry, go ahead. So you go back a second time, and
So I
then
go back a
what
second
did they
time
tell
and she
you?
gives me like this, like she's here again. And so I come back and I'm like, hey, I did actually call the number you gave me. It helped. And I have confirmation that he is a level 1 sexual offender. So I'm still here though, because I would like to know the guidelines and what are the boundaries, what are the limitations, what it is he can or cannot do, because she would not provide me that. And she
Right,
said I would
nobody
have
did.
to either his parole officer, which she could not provide me. And I
Now
told
you
her,
know.
but I don't have that information. And she goes, well, then you're going to have to go to the precinct. So I was like, okay. So I went back to that's why I'm here. And then she goes, well, okay, give me a second. So I waited a few minutes and she comes back and she said she spoke to a DV supervisor.
Yeah.
And that basically I have to put myself in the vicinity of this predator and catch him in the action.
That's how they made it seem. They made it seem as if you were not in the vicinity, or if you weren't present at the event, that you cannot report it because you weren't there, which doesn't make sense.
She said the next time you see it, you call 911. And I said, what do you mean the next time I see it? I wasn't there.
The next time.
Right.
Exactly. Jumping through hoops, giving you the runaround.
I can provide you, but you're telling me I have to put myself in his vicinity.
Absolutely not. That's false. That's false.
Why would I associate with someone like that? Why would I put myself in that type of environment? No, I'm not going to do that. I think a screenshot, I think evidence, like whatever it is, I'll get that.
Right.
But and then it's like, what? I have to stalk the guy?
Yeah, like a paparazzi, so that when he's next to a kid, take a picture? No.
That's a little creepy.
Exactly. And we're not going to turn into that. That's not what we're here for. We already saw what we saw. We just want to know what to do now.
So when she saw me get a little, like you're telling me, like I was
but you did say, I know my rights. You gave the American, I know my rights.
I think that's a little inaccurate.
Yeah.
I got a migraine. And she goes, you know what? Let me just go, let me go back. And she goes back and she speaks to the same person, comes back and says the same thing. And I said, you know what? Can I speak to
a supervisor?
The supervisor?
You became a Karen. Can I talk to your manager? Now let me talk to the manager's manager.
Talk to the person above that person? Because honestly, the information you're giving me is inaccurate. And I have a right to know the guidelines and the boundaries in regards to sexual offender, especially this is a family of a family. She kind of like was like lost it a little bit. But
and you know what? Like Michelle just said, are they in cahoots with your uncle? Like, for real, whose side are you on? We are the concerned citizens trying to find out information, and what you're saying is, oh, call 911 next time. Go home. Leave me alone. Sorry, can't help you because you wasn't there. No, false. NYPD, false.
And so she ends up calling a coworker. And I tell you, like my nerves, I felt my fingers trembling. And I started holding my hands and I started praying. I said, please give me patience and calm me, bring me peace. And give me the words to say, please, God. In Jesus' name, amen.
In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen. And she called her coworker. He was this tall officer, skinny, skinny, with a mustache from here to here. That's it. Really clean cut. But the mustache, I was like, he was so kind, so loving. And he said, hey, you know, my coworker brought me over, and I'm like, yeah, and I explained the situation. He's like, you know, for sexual offenders, they have either probation officers or parole officers.
Yes.
Because I said parole, and he was like, well, probation or parole would, I don't know. But
that depends as well, yeah.
And I said, exactly, you're correct. And I said, okay. And then you would probably want to go to the precinct that, you know, that's closest, where, you know, they live. And I said, okay, correct, no problem. He gave me all the information I needed. I said, you know, I really appreciate your
Thank you.
Thank you. And that's when I went home.
Not to be sexist, but a man helped you, and the women were giving you a runaround. Okay, continue, because I believe that men should be leading.
Well, there were 2 other men there that were I'm not gonna call them assholes, but like they were kind of like being a little
not helping at all. So the man with the mustache, tall and skinny, knew what he was doing at this given day at work. Thank you, NYPD.
Yeah, and he just really listened. You know, and you could tell.
Good. Yeah.
And before that, or no, it was after that. I went back and I was waiting. And this
the lady.
This is how I know, like, God is with us, because this lady, when the woman came back, you know, after the guy talked to me, the precinct is silent. She whispered. She was like a little mouse. And I see the corner of my eye, and I'm just listening because it's that quiet. And she's like, I was kind of like overhearing the conversation between you and this young lady over here. And I didn't hear the rest, but she was like, I wanted to help you out a little bit. And she gave her this information, and that was the information I gave you.
Wow, guardian angel.
That's when the lady came back to me. She goes, this, and that.
Wow. Awesome. Yeah. Wow. Wow. Yeah. That gave you like a little goosebumps, right? Like this lady came out of nowhere and she was like, I overheard and I want to help.
30 minutes, but it felt like forever.
Yeah.
It felt like forever.
Yeah, me too. Like when I was in this precinct, I was getting nervous. Like I didn't want to be there. I wanted to leave. I don't want to talk about this. Like it was really sensitive. It was hard. It took a lot out of us to do this.
Yeah, because I tell you, so it was weird because one person was being booked and he looked like he must have been on drugs or something, because he was like, and the guy's like manhandling him, and he was like, sir, can you not be so rough? Like, and then someone was actually releasing themselves into the precinct. Like, I guess, I don't know if they were being looked for or whatever, but like she was like, I'm sorry.
Oh, he gave himself up.
Yeah, and I gotta put handcuffs on you. I'm sorry, even though you're giving yourself in. I was like,
right, bendito. Yeah, things go down in the PD.
I was like, at least they're doing the right thing. I don't know.
So you got the information you needed from that random woman at the precinct, and then you go home, you call me again, we're on the FaceTime. I said, wow, thank you. We got the email. I sent the email. We got the phone number. I said, you know what? You call that number. I call this number. I'm going to call the local Co-op City Police Department again, because I already spoke to them, and I'm going to ask them again. And you know what? When I talked to the precinct, the regular PD, the city police, she told me, okay, you need to contact the precinct that booked him, or where his PO is, like he's supposed to come, and they are directing him
remember
there.
You went, and I had told you got to go and put probation officers in the Bronx, and
and there was a number there.
Numbers, and then one of them was kind of like, yes,
general, and then there was one for like by the borough, adult probation officers. You call that number and it's like a directory. So this is why I wanted to do this new segment, because we are now going to teach you what to do in New York State when it comes to sex offenders. Okay. And we have all the information, we have all the emails and all the phone numbers. We can share it with you. And we encourage you to do this in your state. Educate yourself on your state, because we went through a million hoops just to get a simple registry, a simple number. Like, it was simple.
Part that we went through a lot of hoops for something. I feel like I was asking for a general.
Yeah, and it should have been easier than what it was. Like, we spent 6 hours.
Right.
We spent the entire day that day. We spent like 5-6 hours doing this when it was very simple.
Yeah.
So she says, I could put you on hold and I could transfer you or something like that. So I figured it out and I clicked the DV, domestic violence. And that's the operator who I spoke to. While you was on the phone with somebody else, I was calling this one. And that's when I got the information I needed. I gave everything. I gave the whole story of what happened. And I did ask her as well. I said, to the best of your knowledge, can a level 1 associate with children under any circumstances? It doesn't really matter. She said, no, I do not believe so. She said, it does depend on the level. It does depend on the case. But in general, they are not supposed to be anywhere near children, especially minors. It does not matter. You cannot be around children as a registered sex offender. And I told her I assumed as much, because I don't know the details of his case. It was sealed because it was a minor. So I don't know what happened or what he did. We just know general stuff. But we want to know what we can do. So she told me, what you need to do is talk to his probation officer. And she did see the case that he is not on parole. He's on probation. So I didn't know that. There's a difference with that too. So she said his PO is probation. So he is on probation.
Okay.
If he violates the probation, you guys already know you're going to go straight to jail. They're not going to ask you questions. You know what you're supposed to do. You violate it, you go to jail. Very simple. I said, of course. Can I get her phone number? And so she gives me the probation officer's name and number. We spent like 6 hours trying to get this information. And I thought we were never going to get it. Like, I really was starting to say, you know what? We did the best we could do. You know, God saw our efforts. I went along with what I said last week, that I was going to do what I was going to do. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be that type of person that says, I'm going to do this, this, and this, and I don't do nothing. Okay. I try to keep my word. I try to do it. And we did it. Then I call you back. I say, bro, you're not going to believe this. I got all the information I needed. And I called his probation officer. Bro, that phone was ringing and ringing and ringing. And I felt my heart pounding and pounding, because I was like, if this officer answers, what the hell am I going to say? How am I going to say it? Right. What am I going to give my identity? Am I going to say who I am? Because I was like, oh, we should stay anonymous. Oh, like, I was just so damn nervous about everything. And it's so much harder that he's my uncle. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's personal. It's so personal and sensitive, because you're a little bit more detached, you know, like, I was like, yo, I'm so happy, Tony, you could do this for me, because I was stressing over it. I was like I felt like demons were attacking me. You know what I mean? Like, I just got baptized. I'm not trying to deal with this, you know? Like, it was horrible. So listen, it rang forever. And then it hung up. There was no voicemail, no nothing. And I said, oh, what am I going to do now? Because I don't want to keep calling and calling and calling and calling. What do I look like? So I call you back and I say, yo, Tony, I got everything I need, but they didn't answer. But I did send a text message. So I don't know if it's a cell phone. I don't know if it's her personal phone number, but I have it. I sent a text and I said, please email me, call me, whatever you need, so I can forward you these photos. He's hanging out with children. I gave the date. I gave the location. I said, I don't know if this is a violation, but it doesn't sit right with me that a 40-something-year-old man is going to a children's movie screening in a private theater that Jehovah's Witnesses rented, and he's invited, and he's a registered sex offender. I'm sorry. So I sent the text message, no response, no nothing. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I said, Tony, I'm going to give you the phone number. Maybe from a New York phone number, she will answer and maybe you can talk to her. So that's the update that I wanted to give. And I'm going to share that information with Tony. And then Tony's going to call one of these days. But I did what I did. Oh, and I sent that email. And the email, I sent the photos. And then the email response told me, you need to get in contact with Officer so-and-so. And they just gave me the name. They didn't give me a phone number. But they didn't know I already had that information. So we worked faster than the system. Okay, you see, when you do things on your own, sometimes it works better than going through the system. So when I emailed her back, I said, is there a phone number or an email? And then she answered me back in the email and she said, sorry, you would have to Google it. And then I was like, okay, good, because we already did that. We already did the homework. We already did the work for New York State. So that's what we did. That's what we went through this weekend. I feel like a weight has been lifted off of my chest, like this dark cloud has been lifted, because I hope she got the text message, because in the text message, I said that his wife is trying to intimidate me into silence. She's trying to harass me through my family members. She's insinuating that she's going to tell my grandmother, that she's going to tell my father, that she's going to tell my family what I did. What does that mean? You're going to tell my family? What does that mean? You're intimidating me. That's what it is. You're trying to scare me and say, "Oh no, don't tell my grandma. Don't tell my family what I did. I'm sorry. I'll delete the comment. I'll delete it. Make believe it never even happened. Don't bother me." No, bitch. I'm not going to stay silent. Okay, I don't care who you call. I don't care if she finds my YouTube channel. I don't care if she finds my X page. I don't care if she sees the video that I did. I don't care what she does. And you see, Jehovah's Witnesses have that entitlement complex. Like they think that they know everything and that they're right and you're wrong. Well, I'm sorry, honey. I don't care. Maybe I am wrong, but at least I did what most of you guys wouldn't do. Okay? Because y'all were all Gucci taking pictures with freaking kids in front of the Mufasa billboard with a freaking pedophile. And they nasty because they know what he did. Okay? They know it. And all of those people are actually her sisters and their husbands are elders. And those are the same elders that were in his judicial committee. So they know all the nasty things that he's ever done. Okay? And I know a little bit about it too, because their wives called me. Did you know that? Did you know that? Did you know that your sister called me and talked to me already? No, you didn't. You didn't know that I know some shit about what he did. Okay? You see, this is what pisses me off, because they think they know it all. They think they know it all. No. You need to put them in their place. You need to put them back down in their place. And you need to tell them how disgusting they are for trying to defend a pedophile going to a children's movie, a cartoon movie with children. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. And she's trying to threaten me that I'm harassing them. Oh, I'm harassing a pedophile? Yeah. Even if I wasn't harassing a pedophile, I'm okay with harassing a pedophile. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with that. I will harass a pedophile. I'm okay with that. Say whatever you want to say. I'm good with it. Yes. I'm harassing him. Yes, I'm going to go over there and I'm going to blow the lid off. Yeah, I'm going to call the Kingdom Hall and I'm going to tell him that your pedophile brother Gonzalez is going to meetings and going to parties, hanging out with kids. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
I really want to know if those people in the photo knew.
They probably
I doubt it.
I doubt it. There was like 100 people in that theater. I doubt it. I doubt it. So you know what? I don't care what happens to me after this. I don't care if she tries to contact me again. I don't care about anything because I didn't give my phone number to her. She doesn't know my address. She knows nothing of me. But she's trying to dox me. She's trying to get my information through my family, and they're not giving it to her. So I'm glad that we are all on the same side now. We are battling evil. What's my header on X? Don't make peace with evil. Destroy it. We're not friends and we're not family anymore. That's dead. That's dead. Just like they disowned me, I disown him. He's not my uncle anymore. So I don't give a damn about any intimidation that he tries to do to me. Go tell my grandmother. Go tell my father. Go call my mother. Call my whole entire family if you want to and tell them what I did. I want them to know what I did. Tell them what I did.
Yeah, but the thing is like, you're doing the right thing. That's the crazy thing. That's what's supposed to be happening. And he should know better, is the point. If you just respected and didn't put yourself in that type of environment, then that wouldn't have happened. We wouldn't have been put in a place to have to seek justice.
Exactly. And pedophiles do not have the same social constructs as us. Okay. They broke the law. Okay. They broke the law, not us. Okay. I don't respect pedophiles. I don't say that they should continue living their life. No. In the state of Florida, he would have been death penalty. Okay. Or life in prison for trying to harm a child. So stop it. Like, stop. Anyways, that was my updates. I am so happy that everybody joined me tonight and that King Tony was able to join me. And yeah, so we did it, guys. We did it. We're going to find out soon what's going to happen. I don't know. I don't know if he's going to go to jail or what. And they're probably going to blame me for it if they assume that I'm the one who did it. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's nyc.gov. Yep.
So I was reading this while you were talking, and this is probably all the information you're going through. So I was going right to the bottom here. Where is it? Right here. The act authorizes. Okay, these guys aren't allowed on the internet. Now, I guarantee you his wife is on JW.org steady. That's the internet, right?
Well, they have limited internet access. So he would have to go to his internet provider and they would put restrictions on certain websites and stuff like that. So yeah, they have restricted internet, restricted everything. That's how I know that he can't
drive a school bus, says it right here.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's similar to a kid's party. Like, come on. Like, you have a good argument, and thanks for bringing that up. That's great. You're going to be sharing more as time goes on, so I get it. So that was really good, really brave of you and Tony, and a lot of work, and really sticking your neck out. Now I understand. I reported some stuff to our police up here. No one got back to me. I emailed and emailed. No one gets back to you because of this, because it's all kind of private. And I was just looking for a list. I wanted to go on and see if the guy was convicted. If it was hidden. But you see, JW.org is trying to hide this and cover it all up. That's just
exactly.
Well done.
Well, thanks again. Well done to you and Tony.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of work. And that brings a close to our program. Any last words?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I know not that many people have the strength to do this or the courage or whatever it may be, but if it's not us, then who?
Yeah.
It's like we have, I really didn't want to do this. Like, like it hurt me. It hurt me. I really didn't want to do it. I just got baptized. Like, I was really happy for once in my life. Like, I had true inner peace and true happiness. And then all of this started happening to me. And I felt like this is the devil. Like, why would this come to me now, 6 years later? You know what I'm saying? Like, if it isn't going to be anybody else, then who? So I told myself, it has to be me. I have to do it. I have to. I cannot go to sleep at night and not think about the possibility of him hanging out with kids. I cannot go to sleep at night or go to church next Sunday with knowing that I knew this information and I didn't do anything about it.
Mhm.
I cannot live with myself. If last week I told you guys about this and then I chickened out and I didn't do anything, no. I had to hold myself accountable. And this is why I like talking about things publicly, because even you guys would hold me accountable. You know what I'm saying? Like, we hold each other accountable. We are not in a cult. We know what the right thing is to do. So we actually do it now. But it's hard because we've never had to do this before.
No.
I would have just gone to an elder and I would have said, oh, let me pray to Jehovah and leave it in Jehovah's hands. I'm good. And I would have wiped my hands and my conscience would have been clean. But I'm not like that anymore because I know that they wouldn't do anything about it, even if I did call them. So we are, like Tony said, we are doing the right thing for once in our lives. And it feels weird. It feels almost horrible to do the right thing. Like, it feels so weird. But we did it, and we're going to continue doing it. And now that we know what to do, if you are in the New York State, we have all the emails and the phone numbers ready for you to do it. You don't have to go through the hoops that we went through. So this is important, especially for us. So thank you for everything.
Okay, well, thank you again. And thank you to everyone that was on with us tonight, all 100 of you that are on right now. There's a lot on Twitter and YouTube. So thank you for being with us through the program. And please join us next Friday at the same time. We'll be covering the news next week. So thanks again, and we'll leave this with you. Bye for now.
Bye.